say it as bad as childhood.
Hey,
I don't drink much.
how's it going?
I drink about half a gallon of milk almost a day. So
Good to see you.
I feel, yeah, you should be thinking again. And I have one of these.
Football game.
Yeah, I have it as a can or two.
I've seen you since then, too.
Yeah,
Well, I
welcome down and get you there.
I usually
Which is equivalent to
well, that's right. It's justified every year.
You doing right?
I cut down, I don't have one instead of three.
Oh, about 5 foot 5.
I'm gonna die.
Come on now.
Might as well.
You just
yeah, you can say
party for fun on a Monday night?
Yeah, yeah.
What's going on?
I'll
That's
give you
going
some
on.
for a reason.
Yeah, well, not anymore, we got everything fixed.
that's for
Hard to
sure.
get on.
Not anymore.
No.
See you later.
How long was you sitting there?
Not even.
Forget what I went to town for. Kids, windows put in the camper, they got it back from the last company.
Nice.
You wanted to keep it?
I know.
I didn't see that.
Nope.
He's the guy who.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to.
Appreciated Mindy helping us.
Does she still have a hard time getting squared away? She helped.
Well, Mindy,
No, why didn't that work? Joe Peter Meyer. Here we go. No, that's not the right one.
Are you saying that to Amber?
Well, I'm just trying to get it pulled up. It's. Why is it doing
So you
that?
have to create, it doesn't create it for you? You have to-
I think it's already.
City council meeting or something?
I thought this was already done. Duration probably not 30 minutes. Let's give it 4 hours.
I hope it doesn't last that long.
Okay, so we did that. Oh, I didn't bring my instructions.
Let me go get them.
Yeah, go ahead. I think it's supposed to start the, oh, here we go, start.
So you don't need them?
Yeah, go ahead and grab them just so we can verify.
Yep, that's fine.
Oh, it won't start till 5:30 though.
That's okay. Go ahead and push start.
It won't do it.
I wonder if it's because we started the meeting in there. Is there another opening? Right here? Yep.
Ah, so maybe I need to go back and,
Stay in my other session.
do I need to go back and delete this meeting? Probably. I created that one.
Oh, okay. I think we normally just use our normal city council one, so if you...
I tried that, but it was already open in a window and I
Oh,
didn't
okay,
realize
okay.
it, so it wouldn't
Got
click
it,
on it.
Yep, so we can go ahead and close this one.
Does it still says start my session? Oh, did I screw
Yep.
something?
Nope, you're okay. Go ahead and push X here. And then if you just click right here, and click on city council meeting. And now say, okay, I'm ready. There we go.
Success. I think that's it. Now we have to test the mic, right?
FYI, your mics are hot.
Should I put this back, Heather?
Testing. Hi, is it working? This is Amber.
Yep, you're good. Thank you.
Your turn off now.
I hereby call this meeting to order of the Marshalltown City Council. We are in the City Hall Council Chambers, 10 West State Street, November 25th, 2024, at 5:30. If you would, please rise and we can say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's have roll call.
I'm not sure how to get rid of it. Are you by chance logged in to anything? No? Try that.
Try that. That
Okay.
sound better?
That works.
All right. Roll call, please.
Fonseca? Here. Kell?
Here.
Lottie
Here.
Mitchell?
Here.
Nichols?
Here.
Schneider?
Here.
Thompson?
Here. Thank you. We move on to public comment. Members of the public may make comments on any item which was not on the agenda at this time. The speaker shall approach the microphone and state his or her name and address. Comment shall be limited to 3 minutes unless a longer comment is authorized by the mayor. The speaker shall direct comments to the mayor and to the council as a whole. The mayor and councilors shall not engage in discussion or debate on items raised by members of the public, and no action may be taken on items raised in public comments in order to comply with open meetings laws. Okay? The floor is yours.
Good evening, Heidi Dalal, 1504 Brentwood Terrace. I am here tonight on behalf of the teaching team for the Leadership Marshalltown program, along with myself, Becky Hassett, Erica Finders, and Josh Grosvenor, and Kate Bauermeister. We are the teaching team for that program. And on Thursday, we had our session at the Police Fire Building. And so just here to express my appreciation to Councilor Kell, Chief Tupper, and Chief Cross for helping us that day and providing some tours and being part of a couple of panels that we had, where we are really redefining leadership through this program, understanding that it's an activity and not a position. Authority and people in positions of authority, we understand, are here for direction, protection, and order. And some of the really large challenges communities like ours are facing need more people to be involved in finding some progress to those challenges. And so that's really how we are redefining leadership through this program. And again, just want to thank those that helped us with our session on Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Who's next?
Good evening, Doris Kinnick, 2020 Catalina Place, Marshalltown, Iowa. I am here tonight just to talk about safety. I just returned from the funeral of a good friend of mine who was struck by a car and killed. When it gets to be dark or close to dark, you can't be seen unless you have some type of reflective gear or tape or anything. And I really think my friend would be alive today if that was the case. So I'm just bringing that up just to throw it out there, that if anyone is going to be walking, especially this time of night, that they would please remember to have some type of reflective gear on. And if you have your dog as well, if you're walking your dog, have something reflective on them as well, so that motorists can see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Doris. Anyone else?
Sarah Rosenblum, Library Director. I just want to say that thanks to our partnership with Primary Health, the library has free COVID tests. So we just got a fresh supply. So if you think you're going to need one with the holidays, stop by the library. We'll be open tomorrow and Wednesday. We'll be closed Thursday and Friday, but we do have free COVID tests that we can give out to the public.
Thank you. Anyone else? Last call. Okay, moving on to counselor, administrator, and mayoral comments. Anyone have anything?
Your Honor, I've got one. I would just like to thank Carol, Heather, and the Public Works team who made sure the compost stayed open this weekend. I know there were some unforeseen circumstances, but I was down there personally 3 times, and it was busy all day, it looks like. So thank you, everybody who was involved.
Okay. Anyone else?
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes, you may.
Holiday stroll was this weekend. I thought somebody would come up and talk about that. But it was well attended. I was in the Coliseum most of the day, snuck out and went to the parade. Huge crowd. Food trucks looked busy. People looked like they were having fun. It was a great event. And, of course, the weather cooperated. And even our city administrator freed up some money and bought some stuff from some of the craft vendors. So a good day was had by all. So I want to thank everybody for who was involved with all the volunteers that put that on. I know the tree sales raised a pretty good chunk of money to keep the stroll going every year. So, and next year, all 7 counselors will have a tree. Each of them will have a tree in the festival.
Gary, you've obviously never seen me decorate a tree.
You can be hired out if you want to, right?
Are you done, counselor? Okay. You kind of stole my thunder. I was going to mention the holiday stroll, how much fun. Those types of community programs and events don't just happen. The amount of work that goes into all the volunteers and people, so everybody can come have a good time, is pretty neat. So if you know somebody who volunteers and does that kind of thing, tell them thanks. We can keep this thing going and keep making the holiday stroll bigger and bigger. Thank you. Now we'll move on to years of service. November, Raymond Ortega.
Good evening, Heather Thomas, Public Works. It's my privilege to present Ramon Ortega, 20 years of service. Ramon is our transit mechanic. He started out as a street mechanic with Public Works and transitioned over to transit. He is somebody who not only I would trust with my life, but more importantly, I trust with the public's life. For our buses, many of you know that at times we have needed to resort to used Cyride buses that we then reestablish into a safe working bus. And Ramon's competency in his mechanic skills is what makes that possible and makes our system and our transit able to operate. In addition to that, he embodies professionally what a great city employee is. And then personally, him and his family also embodies just a awesome Marshalltown resident, and we are so fortunate to have him. Thank you, Ramon.
Thank you.
No.
Okay, next we have Anthony Iacola.
Good evening, Mike Tupper, Marshalltown Police Department, and I'm here with Lieutenant A.J. Iacola, celebrating 15 years. Now, I don't know what the minimum age requirement to be hired was 15 years ago, but it's true. He's been here 15 years. And so I've worked with him for 13 years, and if you go back and look at a picture of me 13 years ago and today, I look like I've been run over by a truck. He hasn't changed. AJ is one of our superstar employees, does a great job for us. The most important thing you can know about AJ, though, is he's married and raising children in the Marshalltown community. And he works every day like he's married and raising children in the Marshalltown community. He's passionate about making sure our neighborhoods are safe, our schools are safe, and that the community is the best it can be for his family and all the other families that call Marshalltown home. AJ has been on our tactical team. He's currently in charge of our crisis negotiation team. And he's had a huge hand in training new police officers as a field training officer, in charge of the field training program. He's one of the go-to people that I've gone to for the last 13 years for help and advice, and he's somebody that I can always rely upon and trust. We are very fortunate to have people like AJ working for us, and not only is he a solid leader today, he is the future of the Marshalltown Police Department. He's one of the people that is going to shine brightly for many years to come. So congratulations, AJ, on 15 years of excellent service.
Thank you.
Thank you, AJ. Let's move on to consent agenda.
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Kell,
Yes.
Lottie Hoff,
Yes.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Fonseca. Yes.
Motion passed. Moving on to resolutions.
Resolution 2024-265, approving the Arts and Culture Alliance Agreement for Public Services.
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Brett, do we have any questions or comments up here?
Your Honor, if I may?
Yes, you may.
Yeah, I have some concerns on this right now because of the papers that was handed out to you there. I would like to see us put it to our city attorney so he could give us a little more insight if we're where we're supposed to be without being over in the state's negative side. So I would like to table this and get some further information from legal.
I'd like to make a comment about what you gave us. What he gave us was a letter from the state auditor's office. And it is the general layout that public money should not go toward nonprofits. However, we just dealt with this a year ago. As long as the nonprofit is operating toward the public good on a public project, and the terms are negotiated in a contract, it is a legal thing. I talked to Rob Sand myself about it. So this is perfectly legal on that. I see no reason to delay that.
Well, my concern was being the band is on there, I wondered if that might make a difference. I don't have nothing against giving the money to the arts and culture, but giving it to having the band on there, I thought might be a problem.
We've probably funded the band for 50 years. And I would think if it was a problem, we would know by now. Wouldn't you?
Point of order, Your Honor. Was that a motion that Councilman Mitchell made?
Okay. Do we have a second?
For procedural sake, I will second it.
Okay. Anything else from anyone? First, let's deal with the motion to table. Roll call, please.
Fonseca.
No.
Kell,
No.
Lottie Hoff,
No.
Mitchell,
Yes.
Nichols,
Yes.
Schneider,
No.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay, moving back to the Arts and Culture Alliance Agreement for Public Services. Does anyone have anything they'd like to say up here? How about anything from the crowd tonight?
Brian Cox, 1600 West Lincoln Way, Marshalltown. I'd like to offer a description of the impact of arts and music in Marshalltown. My wife and I moved here 10 years ago from Colorado to be closer and more available to our parents. We left our home and friends of more than 30 years to reestablish ourselves in a community where we didn't know anyone. We were greeted by our new next-door neighbors within a couple of hours of driving up to our new house, and were instantly adopted into the most kind and generous circle of friends we could have asked for. I've been a member of the community band for 10 years, and as a volunteer, take no monetary compensation. Through the friendships developed in the band, I have joined or formed 4 smaller musical groups who contribute to the community. These musical groups have played at Glenwood, the Willows, the Embers, and the Veterans Home dozens of times. We've gone out to surrounding communities also, including Conrad, Boone, Albion, Laurel, Cloutier, and LaPorte City. 2 of our groups played for the Marshalltown Holiday Stroll 2 days ago, as well as in past years. This past summer, our brass quintet, along with many others in the local arts community, participated in the variety show sponsored by Marshalltown Community Theater. Through the generosity of attendees from our community, the MCT was able to raise 100% of the funding to reestablish the Kids Acting Academy next summer. We support each other. Beyond these examples, I truly believe, that people who are involved with the community are highly inclined to contribute their time, talent, and treasure beyond their own special interests. My wife and I are active members of our church community. In our 10 years here, we have been involved with many church projects, as well as local organizations like House of Compassion, Emergency Food Box, YSS, 100 Women Who Care, Assistance League, Salvation Army, Trails Inc., and Pilgrim Heights Camp. Everyone we know in Marshalltown generously contributes to the community. Marshalltown offers participation in quality arts and music groups, and on a level that is normally only available to those who live in a larger city or in a college town. Funding provided to the arts is an investment that pays back. What has been requested is a fraction of the total cost to run all of the valuable art and music programs and events. I urge every member of the council to vote yes. Marshalltown is worth it. Thank you.
Thank you. I understand that Amber is trying to get through.
I'm going to see if I can. Go ahead, Amber. I think you're still on mute. I might have you to push mute on yours. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, good evening. I'm Amber Danielson. I'm the Executive Director of the Arts and Culture Alliance. And first, I want to extend my deepest apologies for not being able to join you in person tonight. While I won't repeat my comments or data and return on investment details from the last council meeting, I feel it's important to follow up and address a few key points that can hopefully clarify some concerns. I want to remind you that we're not in this alone. As you saw in our letters of support, we have many local businesses and organizations supporting us, like Mecdine, McFarland Clinic, JBS, Iowa Valley Community College, Marshalltown Community School District, the Chamber, and many more. This wide range of support shows how much our community believes in this work. It seems there has been some confusion about our request. So to be clear, we are not asking for funding to support our nonprofit. Actually, in 2024, the Alliance proudly celebrated 20 years of work in our community, with just 6 months of those 2 decades receiving any public funding. This shows the success we've achieved even without public support. Now, the request before you tonight is about taking this work to the next level and to do even more for Marshalltown. This isn't about the Alliance. This request is for a partnership. This request is about taking the next step and a larger effort to implement the master plan for Marshalltown. It's about expanding our city's capacity and resources to make an even greater impact through a partnership model that has been proven successful in cities across the state and country, not to mention the incredible success we've seen locally through 2024. By supporting arts and culture, we will make our city more welcoming, vibrant, and connected. This will help bring in new residents, workforce, businesses, and visitors, and make public spaces better for everyone while increasing community pride and engagement in our city. Instead of seeing arts and culture as separate from other goals, we need to see them as a key part of everything we want for Marshalltown. We know and understand that the city is facing tough times. However, we believe this investment will help Marshalltown grow and thrive. It's about building a community that values their unique identity and connection amongst its residents and ensuring we're creating something truly lasting for the people of Marshalltown. I wanted to end quickly by saying, if you are there tonight, I am so deeply grateful for your continued support tonight and many other times. If you would, please raise your hand if you are there in support tonight of the Arts and Culture Master Plan. And I can't see any of you raising your hand, but I've been texted and told that it's a full house. And I'm going to wrap up because I feel terrible that Heather is holding this phone up and getting this insane arm workout here. So thank you for your careful consideration and understanding that we're all on Team Marshalltown on the journey to making Marshalltown the best it can possibly be. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber. Does anyone else up here have any questions or comments? Would anyone else like to speak?
Jolene Ballard, 610 North 2nd Avenue. I found out in church on Sunday who the candy lady was. She provides the candy for the children to have after the children's sermon. She does it voluntarily. This proposed spending for the Arts and Culture Alliance is not voluntary. It would be imposed on the taxpayers whether we like it or not. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not the candy lady for this boondoggle. My taxes are being taken for something that falls far down the list of priorities for this city. It may bring new people to move here, or it may not. Of the current residents of the city, how many will really benefit from the Arts and Culture Master Plan? Those who want the Arts and Culture Alliance to be funded can reach into their pockets for funding. Let's figure out how to get our streets into the 21st century and quit handing out candy to nonsense.
Thank you, Jolene.
Hi, my name is Nancy Adams, 2701 West Main Street. I think when I think about the arts, artistic expression is one of the fundamentals of being a human being. Before children can read, they draw or they scribble. Before they can speak, they hum. Before they can make something with their hands intentionally, they're moving and they're molding clay. They are expressing themselves when they are pre-verbal, often before they are pre-ambulatory. And I think that the data, if one chooses actually to look at it, not just locally, but globally, here's the truth. Artistic expression will happen with or without funding, because it is fundamental to being a human being. But it will have a deeper reach and more than likely a higher, more global impact if it is funded. The arts matter. I work in the field of mental health in my job at the college. And I can tell you that oftentimes, writing, singing, playing an instrument, expressing oneself with materials is fundamental to human health, welfare, and yes, community. Thank you. Please consider that. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Dave Grieve, 128 East Main, I'm going to call that one, which is Oddfellow Hall, which was a hall built by 1,800 people, residents of the Marshalltown, for arts and culture. I bought the building because I want to open that back up. So I feel for the arts, I feel for the taxes, and I moved back here to invest in this town, and it's been tough. So I'm all for the arts. I'm kind of disappointed there's not a music store in this town anymore. I have to go to the sewing center to buy a guitar here, and I love that guy at the sewing center. He's great. So I am for the arts 100%. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. That's up to y'all. But it's kind of funny. The mayor has kind of called me a boomerang. My joke for that is, what do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back when you throw it? A stick. Marshalltown raises a lot of sticks for kids instead of boomerangs. Be nice to get some kids staying here and coming back. You know, I went out and had a career, and now I'm coming here, and I'm trying to got another 10 years of my life to really get something done, and I'm ready to go. So, and arts is part of it's bringing it back here. I grew up in this town, choir and all that fun stuff. So I'm for the arts, and I'm for the downtown.
Thank you, Dave. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. John Hall with the Marshalltown Area Chamber of Commerce, 34 West Main Street. Just a couple of comments that I wanted to acknowledge tonight after listening to the comments at the last meeting, and I had submitted a letter for the last meeting, but wanted to really touch on a couple of elements that I feel as though there's a disconnect between the relevancy of arts and the community that we have today, the community that many have hearkened back to. The asking of funding and support of the Arts and Culture Alliance and frankly the arts and culture industry is supportive of an industry that was part of the bedrock of our community. If you look at the early inventors that made Marshalltown what it is, those folks were creatives. They were dreaming of solutions the rest of us couldn't see. And today, in a modern economy, we see historic investment. All you have to look is 45 minutes down the road at places like Iowa State University with their investment in the Student Innovation Center, which is designed to bring cross disciplines together because true innovation, inspiration, and world-changing opportunities evolve and flourish when we elevate multiple passions and disciplines collectively. The same is true for our community. Our forefathers understood that. That's why we have so many incredible art and cultural assets in Marshalltown already. The Arts and Culture Alliance has proven that the private sector is willing to show up and help make this work possible. The last 20 years of success, the $150,000 match they've secured to support this effort, you as a council have actually signaled your interest in accelerating, building, and catalyzing this industry with the Arts and Culture Master Plan. Instead of allowing this plan, which had tremendous community input, to sit on a shelf and collect dust, you are being asked to take part in the initiatives you signaled support of for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Anyone else?
Claire Gervich, 507 Highland Drive. My husband John and I were born and raised here in Marshalltown, but after high school, like many do, we went off to college with no plans of coming back. I, however, did come back. I got a job with the Marshalltown School District, but after a couple years here, I felt like there was something lacking. Nothing drawing me in, nothing inspiring me to stay here. So I left. I moved to a city where I saw how the arts, on so many levels, made a city thrive. how it drew people in to live and learn and visit and just grow. The people were inspired and their energy was contagious. But after years of living there, I realized I missed the sense of community that a smaller town gives, and I missed family. I came home with every intention to move to one of our surrounding cities that had more to offer young professionals like myself. But this time, something happened. I started to really see great things taking off here in Marshalltown. I saw festivals gaining momentum. I saw more live music opportunities. I saw incredible beautification happening all around town. But most of all, I felt an energy among people who wanted to see this great community thrive. I started meeting young professionals who had seen the potential Marshalltown has to offer. I heard their ideas and saw their visions coming to life. And this time I decided to stay. John was also back for a short layover with no intention of staying when we reconnected. We started talking about all the possibilities here and all that we saw happening, and we decided to take a chance and buy into what these amazing people and organizations were trying to do. We are now fourth generation owners of a business that has been in this community for 120 years. We have 3 young boys who are future Bobcats, and they are our inspiration for continuing to work towards this community to make it even stronger. The Arts and Culture Alliance is a true leader in the revitalization of this great town. I have read their incredibly detailed plan and believe their work is essential to the continued betterment of our community. But they can't just do it on their own, and they can't do it with private funding alone. In order for any of this to work, we all have to be partners. Without your support, organizations like this cannot truly be successful, and without their success, this community cannot truly prosper. I love this community. I love its roots, and I love the foundation on which we are building. But I also want to see it flourish. I want to honor the town I grew up in, while continuing to build on the incredible work organizations like the Arts and Culture Alliance are doing. The work that drew my husband and I back here to live, work, and raise our family. Our businesses need this, our children need this, our town needs this, and Marshalltown has the resources to be a partner in this. I am asking you to vote yes today and be a part of establishing Marshalltown as a worthwhile place to live for the next generation and beyond. I have heard far too often the reasons people leave Marshalltown, but the Alliance is fighting for a reason to stay and invest in our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. I'm Nicholas Beard from 412 Thomas Drive. I thought it might be okay to get a teacher's perspective about this. I'm the art teacher at Lenahan. I started there in 2020, and art is magical to some kids. Okay, we know that we're living in a melting pot. There are so many different cultures from all over the world right here, right in our town. And a lot of them, they do not know English yet. They're just learning how to get by. But then when they come to the art room, they can communicate with whoever they want because they can produce an image, or they can create something. And I see this constantly. Kids that are not quite comfortable with English yet, they can have a full-on conversation with just their artwork. And there's just so many smiles. There's so many smiles. I don't think that they're coming in the art room and just being so excited because of me. It's because they have an opportunity to finally communicate. And I think that's just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I get to see it every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Rose Kinnick, 2020 Catalina Place. Just a quick question. Where did the money come from before the traffic cameras for the Art and Culture Alliance? Because $125,000 was originally, was what you guys had put in there because of the traffic cameras and because of the bill that passed, so that money was gone. So did you fund the Arts and Culture Alliance before this, and how much money did you give?
I don't believe we did. We didn't have a master plan. None of that was put together.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Does anyone else like to speak? Okay. I've given you all a chance to. I would like to just bring up a couple points. The City Council passed the Arts and Culture Master Plan unanimously, that we are going to support the arts and culture in Marshalltown. And that City Council had Al Hoop on it. I think you were on it. Everybody was on it, that we're going to do this. Because if you look at that plan, it's not just a couple pieces of paper. It's very in-depth. How do we do this? How do we get there? What's it do for the community? Also, the arts and culture is also in our strategic plan. If you read anything that comes up before the council, they have to check off on the strategic plan, what is it? And on this one is partner with citizens, for-profit, nonprofit, and others to improve quality of life. And that's what this is. It's a quality of life. So we're following our strategic plan, the ACA master plan. Going forward with city budgets, we're going to have to do more public-private things. Money's tight. We need to stretch our money. And this is a heck of a way to do it. I mean, if you look at the amount of money that came back into the city with grants and that kind of thing, with the piddly amount that we gave Amber from the traffic cameras, I mean, you'd empty your 401k and invest in that. So you're going to be seeing more public-private monies, I think, toward that. And it's a smart thing to do. It also gives cohesion to the community. Everybody's in on it, not just the city, not just the private people, not this and that. And we're using each other's talents to be able to really create something special and that's truly unique to Marshalltown. And with that, let's have roll call.
Mitchell?
No.
Nichols?
No.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
No.
Fonseca? Yes. Kell?
Yes.
Bodyhoff?
Yes.
Resolution 2024-266, authorizing certification of Code of Iowa 403.19 tax increment financing indebtedness to the county auditor for each urban renewal area within the city of Marshalltown for fiscal year 26.
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Second.
I'm Cindy Kendall, and one of those past finance people. And I was just wondering if there's any questions concerning the debt certification that needs to be done by December 1st. We do have some of the information that you've passed with the annual appropriation resolutions a couple of weeks ago is embedded into these documents that will be filed tomorrow morning with the county auditor, as well as some of the commitments that we have made on a public-private partnership with some of our developers that are on an ongoing basis. The annuals do not have any impact on your debt service, which we'll talk about in the next couple of items on the agenda. So we would encourage your support on this.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Kell?
Yes.
Bodyhoff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Resolution 2024-267, approving the annual financial report for fiscal year ending '24.
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Second.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a comprehensive plan report for all of the activities of the city as well as the waterworks. They are considered a part of the city, a component unit of the city, and therefore we have to blend them into our reports here. The first page of that report is kind of big and scary, and so I thought we'd kind of go through some of that simply because I know that a lot of citizens who will see it in the newspaper in a couple of days or maybe tomorrow even may want to know what it really says. It is on a cash basis, and because when we receive a dollar, we count that dollar, and when we spend a dollar, we know that that dollar is gone. So it's none of the accrual information that is going to be in your comprehensive financial report. It's on a cash basis. I already mentioned waterworks, and the first page here, we have a couple of different columns. The first is governmental, and that's all of the things that are police and fire and library and all of those things that are considered part of our government. The next column on that page is the proprietary or business-like enterprise. Those are all the same terms, and that's going to be your utilities and services that have to pay for themselves. And then the next one is the actual total. And then the third one is how did it compare against the budget that you adopted and or amended? And this final is the amended amount that is there. I have a couple of graphics that I'd like to put forth as just a little bit of a different display of what the numbers are meaning. For the governmental area, you can see the very top, the widest bar on that is the property taxes. That's why it's so important that we understand that we are a service and that the majority of our government revenue is going to be the property taxes, not only for operations but also for payment on our debts and so forth. And then we go down with tax increment financing, and again, the prior activity is going to be the way that we know how much money we're going to need for that program. So we start budget already here, guys. As far as other city taxes, that's things like local option sales tax and so on and so forth. And going down on licenses and permits, we don't have a lot of that compared to the other revenue streams. But on the very bottom there, you see that the biggest bar is the transfers, and that is from funds within the city paying the general fund for services, or it is because of a certain levy. For example, your employee levy, the state code says we have to put it in a special revenue fund, and we transfer it to the general fund. So all those transfers are just a way of realigning the dollars because of certain bookkeeping requirements. On the others, well, we're going backwards now. Okay, we're going to do it this way. All right, so that was governmental. And now we have the enterprises, the proprietary, and you see we've got some really big businesses in there, and that's because the infrastructure is so expensive to maintain, and right now we're looking at a lot of the projects that you're looking to finish and to do in the near future is because the infrastructure is also so very old. And so we have to be able to reinvest in that, just like a business would have to, and we have to pay for it with our user fees. But this is just, again, a kind of a different way of looking at things and seeing what are the activities that are receiving the greatest amount of revenue. And in a little bit, I'll show you that it's also receiving the greatest amount of expenditures. So on the expenditure side, again, we're going straight down that page, the front page of this summary of the report that's going to be in the newspaper, and this is going to be the center section. And in the state of Iowa, we have our budgets by categories or functions, and so you'll see that those are listed out here the same way they are on that publication notice. And so you can see the various activities that we have all of our departments fit within one of these activities. And so, and they are assigned a budget based upon that activity. And only when there are situations or circumstances where you must amend the budget, you cannot exceed the amount that was originally budgeted without an amendment. So that's, again, about the middle part of that front page. Again, we've got transfers out on the expense side as well. And here's your enterprise, and again, your capital projects are the major activity that has been going on as you talk about the dollars that it takes to do those capital projects. Your debt is also here, and again, I would remind you that this is not only the city debt, but also the waterworks. And then the transfers out on this area are very minimal compared to the other activities, because they are not allowed to have property taxes pay for their benefits. They have to pay for that out of their user fees. Okay, on the bottom of that front page, again, we're going to talk about what the summary is for your long-term debt and what category it's in. Is it a general obligation, which means the council or the Waterworks has pledged the faith in an object of being able to do taxation as much as they needed to take care of it. The revenue debt, again, is going to be paying out of the utilities and so forth. And then here is a calculation of your debt capacity. And that, again, is 5% of your assessed valuations for the entire city. And that's only used for any general obligation. It's not used for any of the revenue. So I have just one more for that particular summary for this report, and that is something you'll have to look at page 10 of the report itself. There are 10 pages, and this is a detail of your debt and what kind of debt is it and so forth. And this is what has gone to the front page to better explain a single line on the front page. You got a whole half a page in the back to do it, but a lot of times people say, well, you know, we're going to do this debt or that debt, how are we going to pay for it? And this is the breakdown of how that's going on right now. Okay, this is just a capture of one of the other reports in your packets this evening, and this is the city side only, and it gives you a picture by each fund, because again, we have to do fund accounting. And so I would refer the council and anyone that has seen the packet, which is online, to take care of this. This again is a report that must be completed by December 1st. That's why we're putting it into the newspaper, and we'll have to have that affidavit in hand so that I can get that published to the state on time. It's really important. So, any questions on that? Okay. Motion to approve? Oh, excuse me.
Mike, your microphone's not on.
Anyone else have any questions? Let's have roll call.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca? Yes. Kell?
Yes.
Ladioff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Next resolution.
Resolution 2024-268, approving the annual street financial report for fiscal year ending 2024.
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Okay. Number 4 of 4. Your urban renewal annual report was in your packet as part of the consent agenda. And again, if you have any questions on that, we'll be happy to take care of those by just calling into the office. This summary is strictly for street-related expenses. And so we're talking about equipment that the city uses. We talk about what projects are being used, where the dollars are coming from, what debt is associated strictly with the street portion of it. So as a result, it's just a more focused street-related report to the Department of Transportation but it's all covered in that annual financial report that we just went over.
Anyone have any questions for Cindy? Anyone out there? Let's have roll call.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Lottiehoff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to ordinances.
Ordinance 15096 to amend the Code of Ordinances, City of Marshalltown, Iowa by amending Chapter 77, Parking Schedules, third reading.
Move to approve, Your Honor.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? The third reading. Let's have roll call.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Lottiehoff?
Yes. Okay, we're down to discussion items. Request to amend Chapter 50, Garbage and Refuse. I understand that we have someone here that would like to speak with us.
Good evening. Wade Lamb, Area Sanitation. I'm here to discuss the use of non-compacting vehicles on the garbage route. Let me start by saying at the last workshop meeting we had, in order to get the curbside ordinance changed over for them to provide curbside service, I raised this topic at that meeting and was told at that time that I didn't have to worry about it. I was more or less grandfathered in. But then I get a call from the city administrator's office that I need to come up and talk about it. That code was put on the books to prohibit people from starting up a garbage route using just a pickup truck, because we didn't want, 40, 50 people running around in pickup trucks picking up garbage. In the 45 plus years that I've been associated with the garbage business, I think that's maybe happened 3 times. Not much of an issue, but still an issue. I would propose amending the code to read that non-compacting vehicles may be used, but only in conjunction with or in addition to compacting vehicles. That would still prohibit people from starting up a garbage route without making the substantial investment of purchasing a garbage truck, but would allow myself and the other haulers to continue to provide the service we have been in the manner we have been for decades without issue that I know of with the way we're doing it.
Does anyone have any comments about this?
Your Honor, if I may.
Yes, you may.
At Mr. Lamb's request, I sat in with him on the meeting with the city administrator, and this isn't, the city administrator made it clear that she has to enforce the ordinance as it's written. So this isn't just about area sanitation's pickup trucks. If we don't amend this, then our major industries in town will be impacted too, because they use roll-off dumpsters that are on regular routes for their garbage. I called the landfill today, confirmed that. Mr. Lamb had brought that up with me, because the whole idea about the pickup trucks is they're not sealed containers. That's the problem. Roll-offs are not sealed containers either. They have doors that are hinged. So if our city administrator is going to say she's going to enforce the letter of the law, then JBS and others that have regular route pickup of their roll-off dumpsters, the way I interpret this, they need to be enforced too, that they can no longer have roll-off dumpsters. They'll have to have compactors like the grocery stores do, like Lennox does. So, and I have to agree with Mr. Lamb that, I was in that workshop and it was said, don't worry, don't worry about it. So, and I like the compromise that he has Packer vehicles and the pickups are used as accessories. And the example he gave was Lincoln Way. I thought that was a great example, because I've driven that, that road, and the other haulers with their compactor trucks, they're parked on the lanes. They're sitting blocking traffic, but yet his pickups can run into the driveways, get in and out without causing a traffic hazard. So there are pros and cons on this, and I'm in favor of amending this. And we also need some language again about those roll-off dumpsters for the major industries too.
Let's give Carol a second here.
Yes, so I met with Mr. Lamb for two reasons. One was because of a complaint that I received about the pickups, but also because his hauler's license is coming up for renewal. I think it actually expired October 31st, and as part of the process for applying for a hauler's permit, you have to write down what vehicles you're using, and it says it requires Packer-type vehicles. So I felt like I could not renew the application using something other than Packer-type vehicles. So that's why this discussion is before you this evening. The code could be amended to do as Mr. Lamb is stating, that you have to use it in conjunction with a Packer-type vehicle. Council could also choose to clarify the language around the use of the roll-offs either with or independently of this change.
Your Honor, I was in the same meeting that you two were in. We had it right over there. I do not recall anybody saying, well, it's okay to not use a non-compactor vehicle at all.
Was there anybody else there?
Were you there, Barry?
Yes, I was there. I'm looking at my notes right now. When you spoke, I did note 2 trucks and 2 pickups as every hauler went through kind of their assets and how they collect, but I don't have any notes specific to was it allowed, was it grandfathered, or any of that, but it's just from my notes.
To continue.
Heather, do you have any opinion on this?
Heather Thomas, Public Works. I was at the meeting that's being spoken about, and I was also here at the council meeting where we discussed pickup trucks. And my recollection from the council meeting especially was the use of pickup trucks would be allowed on the case where somebody got missed or they had the larger items, but it was not to be routine scheduled pickups with pickup trucks.
I would concur that that was the intention. Also, I don't have the historical version of this ordinance here, but this council didn't start the compacting requirement. That was already in the ordinance as far as I remember.
Yes, that's correct. The ordinance, Alicia looked it up, and the ordinance goes clear back to the 60s that requires Packer-type trucks.
Yeah, so I think that's been the intent forever. I do think we should probably clarify for the roll-off stuff, that was not the intent for that to require a compactor truck, at least mine. I guess the council will have to speak on that. The question I'd have for you, Mr. Lamb, is why don't you just run the Packer-style truck? I mean, obviously, the situation that Gary said, it would back up traffic on Lincoln Way, but there is traffic disruption with garbage pickup no matter how you do it. Is there a reason why you can't run your Packer truck on all your routes?
Well, for a couple of things. There's, number one, time and convenience. There's a couple of neighborhoods. One that comes to mind, Odessa Drive, which is, I guess, just outside city limits. The other would be the 2600 block of West Fremont, as well as Hilltop. Those roads aren't your conventional asphalt, blacktop, concrete. It's more of a liquid tar with gravel in it. I assume that was used for time and convenience and possibly save money, is why those roads were put in. In the hottest months of the year, they tend to get a little soft. The bigger trucks can sink a little bit, causing ruts in the road. When they turn their wheels on them, it can tear up the surface. I know over the many years that I've been doing this, a lot of the times the discussions between the city council and garbage service, it's either a starting point or at some point it's brought up the wear and tear that the vehicles do to the streets. I can virtually guarantee that my route does the least amount of wear and tear for a couple of reasons. Number one, I use lighter vehicles, the pickup trucks. I also have a small 6-yard rear loading garbage truck mounted on an F550 frame. Those are used a lot because of the original ordinance where you couldn't put it to the curb, having to go up and down everybody's driveways. The other reason that mine are probably doing less wear and tear on the street is all of my equipment has been either modified or equipped so we can pick up the garbage and the recycling at the same time we're there once. We don't have to run the route twice with 2 different vehicles up and down the same streets, the same neighborhoods. Now, sometimes it happens, we have overlap, but that is one of the main benefits to the pickup trucks. I also do believe, especially in the case of Lincoln Way, that they're much safer. Lincoln Way's a truck route, people coming into town until they get far enough in town, could be doing 45 miles an hour, semis, dump trucks. It's a curvy, skinny two-lane road with virtually no shoulders. Like Mr. Thompson said, with the big truck, you're blocking one of the lanes of traffic. With the pickup trucks, my drivers are able to get up the driveway, out of the road, do their job, and get to the next house. And I believe my proposed amendment of being able to use non-compactor units would cover both my use of a pickup truck and the roll-offs being used at, that are more or less permanently placed at businesses.
Your Honor, may I?
Yes.
Are there any other service providers right now that use the pickups like you?
No, not to the extent that I do. Like they said, if a hauler has a miss or some holiday confusion with a customer, or perhaps you need to go retrieve one of your carts because somebody moved or somebody didn't pay their bill, they're most likely not going to fire up one of the great big trucks to go do that. They're just going to hop in a pickup, go grab it, and head back.
Okay, do you know roughly how many service providers we have? I can kind of name like 3 or 4.
4 in town. I think there's myself, Moeller, Prairie Waste, and LeGrand Sanitation. As far as regular service, there's also Junk Relief, and now I believe Hoagland Body Shop are doing roll-offs.
Yeah, so there's not a lot.
No.
No, there's not really that much. And do you think that would you consider yourself a small business?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
We're a mom-and-pop
Mom and pop.
organization. My wife and I own it and run it. My father helps out. My stepmother helps with office work. My brother-in-law works on one of the pickup trucks. Nepotism's running rampant at area sanitation.
And do you think that, getting these Packer-type vehicles, would that cause like a financial strain on your business?
They are quite expensive, and if I were to switch to the bigger compactor trucks for everything, probably wouldn't need as many employees as I currently have. It would probably take more hours to do the route.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, what do we want to do here?
Well, may I have a chance for another comment?
What'd you say?
May I have a chance for another comment?
Sure.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. On a side note, and that one of the things that Mr. Lamb and I have talked about, so let's understand that, let's agree that running the pickups was illegal, according to what Alicia and the city administrator have found in the history. But one of the things that Mr. Lamb and I talked about, it's kind of hard for him to swallow the fact that we're going to enforce his use of the pickups when this council changed the rule to allow one of the other haulers that was doing something illegal by telling their customers to put their toters out on the curb because they invested in a side pickup truck. So we allowed that, we changed the ordinance to match what they were doing by buying a side pickup truck with no repercussions, but yet now we're playing hardball. We may be playing hardball with Mr. Lamb's small business and he's probably the smallest of well, we know him and LeGrand are the two small ones compared to Moeller's and Prairie Waste. I see this going away when his company in the future dissolves. I don't see the other big companies having pickups. It's just hard for me to possibly put a small business out of business with the history that we have with what we did with Moeller's. So I just want to add that to it.
So we have a problem with the roll-offs, correct?
I couldn't find anywhere in the code that addresses roll-off, so I would have to take a closer look at that and see if I need to propose an amendment to account for that practice, yes.
Okay. Does the council wish to add pickup trucks or no?
Can I share a thought or a comment, couple of
course.
them? First, I guess I was struggling, Mr. Lamb, you were talking about the one-off exceptions or the rare, which I get, but I think we also, through your candor and open conversation, we know that is a practice every day that you use. So I guess like a little more clarity. So we understand as a council as a whole, are we talking exception-based or are we talking this is day-to-day practice? And the other question I would like answered, and it may not happen tonight, is obviously the compactor style have some safeguards built in to try to maintain as sanitary of a process as possible. I know it's not perfect, but a pickup truck does not allow for that either. So just something we need to balance. I try to be respectful when I put my garbage in my can every week. I know it's not perfect, and I know not everyone does that. So I think we have to account for, is this causing an issue? Because we do have photographs of your vehicles going around town uncovered, but to go to a landfill, a pickup truck does have to be covered. So I mean, I think there's more to consider here than just what's in front of us. We need to look at this holistically.
Your Honor, if I may?
Yes.
There was some concern about having garbage left in pickups more than overnight in your area at your business from some of your neighbors. So I think we need to address that. You know, if it's going to be in the truck, then it needs to be put inside so it doesn't create an eyesore.
Mayor Pro Tem, may I make a comment? So the code has two elements to it. One is the prescriptive around using Packer-type trucks, but it also has sort of a performance standard in it, which is the vehicles must be constructed as to prevent leakage in transit, wholly enclosed and covered. So my question might be to Mr. Lamb is if he can meet that criteria with a pickup truck. And if he can, then, then I think it would be in the spirit of the code to add the language he's articulating if he meets that criteria. Oh, just a comment.
But we still need to deal with the roll-off.
We would still need to deal with the roll-off, yes.
Public comment?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. John Hall, Marshalltown Area Chamber of Commerce, 34 West Main Street. In the interest of being transparent to small businesses, the number one issue that you guys had identified as part of your overall strategic planning was to examine the garbage services provided to the community. And I do think that there should be some consideration for understanding that there are larger conversations, much larger conversations forthcoming around this issue, asking somebody who is a small hauler to invest in new equipment at this time in order to meet a standard that you all updated, knowing full well that there are potentially considerable changes coming would be what I would consider maybe a disservice to our small business. And if finding a path forward, such as the city administrator suggested, could be a good interim solution, knowing full well that, again, there are larger, more long-term conversations coming for the garbage service business for our community. I do think that would be in the best interest of our small businesses at this time. So thank you.
Someone like to make a motion? Oh,
Sorry.
So, Mr. Lamb, I have a question. So, Carol kind of asked a question, is would you set your pickup truck so as the non-leak?
Yeah, to prevent leakage. and
I
to
would say
cover.
even as in their current form, they're every bit as watertight as a roll-off dumpster.
That's not the question, because the roll-off dumpsters we know are an issue, because that needs to be amended. I don't know how it's going to be amended at this point in time, but the question is, what would you do to make your pickup so?
Well, I could probably try to place some sort of rubber gasket sealer around where the tailgate seals to the bed of the truck. whether it be like a garage door seal on the bottom of your garage door or a strip of rubber inner tubing, something like that, that would stop any liquids from leaking.
What about cover?
We have tarps attached to them. They generally don't roll the tarp back over it till they're full, or until they're at least done loading that area of the truck, and then partially roll it back and then load some more and partially roll it back. But I will tell you, like last week was a perfect example. When the wind was blowing 45 miles an hour, you can't keep the garbage, if it's loose, in the back of a garbage truck. You can't get it, half the time it's tough to get it from the can into the truck without stuff blowing away from you when the wind's blowing 40 miles an hour. Regardless of whether you're using an automated truck, a rear loader truck, a pickup truck, any of them. When the wind's blowing 45 miles an hour, stuff's gonna blow. My legs are still tired from chasing recycling bins and trash down the street last week.
Your Honor, I have a question
Go ahead.
for our city administrator. Carol, how long is his, the license for?
I believe it's an annual license.
It's 1 year at a time.
Okay, because Councilor Nichols and I are part of the NEAT program, and we did talk about garbage and just kind of moving forward. And thinking about that, I think that, you know, this is a small business, and there's not a lot of, I think I've had all the services in my life living here, and they're all very, I think that if there's less, the prices of things would probably change, and I think it's unfair to the public in that way and to the community, and giving the community options, and if this doesn't get renewed, then you won't be able to run your business, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I think we should make a motion that entails different, or at least until we can really look into this good, so he can continue his business until we can come to a consensus, something.
Can you clarify, given his license is currently expired, please?
When I met with Mr. Lamb and Councilmember Thompson, I administratively extended the license to allow this conversation to happen.
Thank you.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Would you clarify that motion, please, Your Honor?
No. I guess it would be to, well, let me ask Carol, City Administrator, would you be able to?
Yeah,
kinda
so
clarify?
I think there's a couple options you might consider. One is that I go back and develop some potential code language similar to what Mr. Lamb suggested, with some requirements around ensuring that any vehicle is prevents any leakage, is covered, that kind of thing. So that would be one option. Another would be, given that this was a priority identified by council, that we just continue to administratively extend his permit while we work some of these other details out with, and I can add detail to that extension about making sure that any pickup trucks he's using the leakage is prevented, that kind of thing. So those would be two potential options, I think.
Well, I think option one is good. Let's motion for that.
Option one would be,
Potential code change.
yeah, a potential code change.
Yeah, Your Honor. I'm more partial to option two, because a code change then opens up one issue with one hauler to potential issues with all the haulers. Where if we can address this at a hauler level, I think that serves the best interests of the community.
Do I hear a second to Melissa's?
Once again, Your Honor, would you state exactly what that motion is?
Let's go ahead and just withdraw. I just said, let's think about something, making a motion and getting all the information to do what's best here and take into account the small business and take into account the community and our constituents. So that.
My own
So maybe-
opinion is to go with number 2, because he can legally go ahead and do that now. Is my own opinion.
Yeah. Call to order. I think we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll make a motion to go with option 2.
Yes, I have that Melissa has withdrawn her motion to
Yeah.
bring forward a code change, and that Kel has made a motion to address this by administratively extending the permit. And Lottie Hoff is seconding that, correct?
We have a second?
That would be the second to the second option. That is it.
All right, I'll second that.
There you go.
Your
I
Honor,
had the motion.
Your Honor,
Kel had already made the motion, and then you, I thought we're seconding it.
Okay, never mind.
Your Honor, I think we have some constituents that would still like to make public comment that have been waiting out here patiently.
Okay.
Well, okay, here we go. Dave Grieve, 128 East Main. I really like the idea of keeping a small business person back in business. Sounds like there is a master plan for trash, which I have no clue what that means, but I like to make a suggestion for a motion that since there isn't one on the table. There is, okay. Yeah, I guess trying to let him keep going for a while with some sort of covered option for sanitation and stuff is what I would say would be the best way to go.
Okay.
Your Honor,
Yes.
what's the time frame?
I mean, I can extend it for a year to revisit it in a year. I mean, I don't know what will happen. To address this from on a larger scale will take some time to do that. Yeah.
So what you're saying is you will grant him a provisionary license for another year?
Yes.
Okay. And we have a year to figure out exactly how we're going to handle the roll-offs, the pickups, the zoning of town. I thought we were supposed to be, that issue was supposed to be resolved by now of, the deciding the days of the areas. So we have a lot more to talk about than just this.
Yeah, I mean, based on what council's goal was in strategic planning, I would step way back and just look at just how we are managing trash now in the community and what are some options for doing that in a way that meets some of council's goals around this issue. So reducing nuisance properties, I know, is one of them. Reducing traffic on city streets, some of the key goals that you have around this issue. So that will take some time. So I would recommend a 1-year extension, and then we can revisit his license at that time again, based on any conversations that have evolved with council.
And you will put a timetable together so we're not crunched to November of next year doing this again, correct?
Oh, I'm off? Okay, there's back on. So, yes, I can do that, and I already have one sort of approach I've outlined around just this idea of studying how waste is managed in the community. So I would definitely have a timeline that hopefully we would have something in place in a year from now.
Anyone else?
Yeah. I've heard several mentions of a master plan and some zoning. Are you going to include the garbage haulers in these conversations that you're all having about a master plan?
Arts and culture master plan.
No, several people that have mentioned.
We
that.
haven't had any discussions yet. So anything that we do that might alter the way that we manage waste in the community would involve the haulers.
All right.
May I restate? Oh,
This requirement has been in the ordinances for 60 years. I'm afraid if we did, an administrative override for this, what's stopping another hauler from starting up a trash service tomorrow, or a trash pickup in a truck tomorrow in somewhere that's problematic for their Packer trucks? I'd imagine Packer trucks are picking up in the same neighborhoods where your trucks are running today. We've just got to enforce ordinances too. I think the intention was to only use Packer trucks on residential routes. The roll-offs is another conversation we can have, but I'll be voting no on the motion on the table.
Okay. Let's vote on Barry's motion.
Nichols?
Yes.
But
I'd like to restate the motion and add a caveat. The motion would be to allow administrative review and approval for a specified duration to allow area sanitation to continue business as is, with the caveat that they take the steps to make their pickup trucks as leak-proof and cover garbage as much as possible to that extent.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
No.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca?
Yes.
Kell?
Yes.
Bodyhoff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Okay. That was easy. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Next up, we have discussion ARPA funding for impact program.
Good evening again, council. There's a memo in your packet. You've heard me for the last year shouting the warning about impact funding. And first thing I want to say is, this is the week of Thanksgiving, and I'm very thankful for the great generosity and support that the City Council has provided this program for 4 years now. So you've been more than generous. So I have stated a few times that if nothing changes, we have enough funding for impact to get us through December 31st of 2025. So after meeting with City Administrator Webb and David Hicks from YSS, City Administrator Webb offered up the possibility of up to an additional $200,000 of ARPA funding to support impact. With the caveat is all the ARPA funding has to be spent by December 31st of 2026. So it buys the city an extra 12 months to continue a program that I think everybody agrees has been a very good program for the city, and a program that has been very successful. It doesn't cost us quite $200,000 a year to run this program, but this money would give us an opportunity to address a challenge that we've had, which is data collection, and we would be able to buy a software program that would assist us with that data collection challenge. So the recommendation from staff is that the council direct staff to come back at the next meeting with a resolution to spend up to an additional $200,000 in ARPA funding to support the impact program. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Your Honor, if I may?
Yes, you may.
This is more of a question for the city administrator. What is the total dollar of ARPA money available?
Let's see, there's a small amount that's unobligated. I want to say it's, I don't, $18,000 maybe. This portion was obligated to general fund, to balance the general fund, but we don't anticipate needing all of it or maybe none of it. And because the funds have to be obligated by December 31st, 2024, we wanted to go ahead and take this action so that the funds would be obligated for this reason if we don't need them for general fund balance.
Is there a reason we can't move 100% of all the ARPA money into this?
I would want to leave it as an up to in case some of those funds were needed for a general fund. I don't think they will, but it'll give us this flexibility that we could still use it for the general fund, or we can use it for this purpose.
But we need to obligate this before the end of the calendar year, and we won't know where that general fund's at till the end of the calendar year. Correct?
But it's already been obligated for that purpose. So,
Okay.
Chief, you're on the
Go ahead.
Deborah, could you let us know a little bit about like the data challenges that's been going on that you're mentioning a little bit?
Yeah, I think part of it is, some of it is, and David's here tonight, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, we've been running a program that we've started from scratch, and we're learning, and we don't always know what we don't know, and we're trying to find a better way of collecting the data, and we've been using Excel spreadsheets and all kinds of stuff like that isn't always helpful. So we've already looked at a vendor that provides software specific for co-responder programs like we're using now, and we think that if we can clean up how we're gathering data, we can tell a better story for you all, for the community, and it will also help us tell a better story when we're looking for grant funding and support from private granting opportunities. Yeah. Yes, sir. Save me.
David Hicks, Director of YSS of Marshall County. So we've been using a spreadsheet where we've been doing a pretty good job of collecting data, but there is a company called Julata who has the nation's best co-responder data collection system. Chief and I have both been in on trainings on how this would roll out, but most anybody could go to a specific website that we have created to get real-time data of how many we've served, types of cases we're serving. It's basically a dashboard that anybody can access at any given time that would reflect what's actually actively going on in real time with impact. Right now, we do a great job of putting the data in a spreadsheet, run those numbers, I report them out to you, but this data collection system called Julata is the nation's best. They're trying to get into Iowa. They recognize impact is, I don't want to brag, but one of the best in Iowa, and I think they're wanting to work with us pretty quickly. So that would take up a pretty good chunk of the budget. Software systems are really, really expensive, but it comes along with IT services, backup. We'll craft it the way we want it to get the data we want, specifically related to homelessness, mental health. We could just craft it to roll out the numbers we would want to collect on.
And I think the other beauty of the software system is that it actually would make us more efficient in our operations, because right now we have staff entering data into really an archaic way of maintaining the data, and that takes time. And I think a software system would clean up a lot of that, and so our impact workers can focus on providing service in the community as opposed to entering data into an Excel spreadsheet.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion for staff to bring back two things to us. One, a resolution is laid out in the memo of $200,000. And then following up on Gary, I would like to see the option of moving all of our remaining ARPA dollars to impact. So I'd like to see those two options. That's my motion.
Second. Okay, I have a motion and a second.
Your Honor, a question for Chief and for Dave. So you're not, this money, besides buying the data collection and, you're operating an administrative, this just buys us another year. Mm-hmm. You're not looking to add another mental health advocate at this time?
Not with this money. So David has applied for another grant opportunity that if we receive it, it's opioid funding through Marshall County. If we receive it, then we would experiment with adding a third advocate, but that's to be determined. So we need a third advocate, by the way, but we also need to expand hours at some point as well.
I just want to make sure that we know and the public knows this gets us further into the future, safeguards of another year is what this does.
It buys us some time to continue to look how we sustain this long-term as a community.
Any other questions?
Your Honor, if this moves back and is approved, the purchase of the software program would happen as soon as possible, correct?
Yes, that would be the plan, yes.
So I have a motion and a second. Anything from the audience? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Kell?
Yes.
Bodyhoff?
Yes.
Mitchell?
Yes.
Nichols?
Yes.
Schneider?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Fonseca?
Yes.
And that's the end of our regular agenda. We'll be going into closed session. Closed session pursuant to Section 21.5, subsection 1, paragraph I of the Code of Iowa to evaluate the professional competency of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that person's reputation. That individual requests a closed session. The City of Marshtown has an attorney-client relationship with Alice Lynch PC by Council Resolution 2022-161, approved June 13th of 22. There may be council action by motion following the closed session if directed by city attorney. I'd entertain a motion. Yeah.
I make that motion.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. We don't have enough up here.
Where'd they all
We'll
go?
wait.